I feel like Mike Jordan. Give me the rock and I'm scoring. Hey, came from the bottom, that's foreign. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Yeah, they know that we ain't the same. 402, we rap the game. I told them this ain't a game.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Big Leagues Chicago. Got my boy Eric here with me. Eric, how's it going, bro?
What's going on, Rick? It's trying to find happiness. And the only way I found happiness is by going to Dairy Queen and giving me a blizzard. Shout out for Dairy Queen for a free promo from us from Star 6 Media, man. That's how I'm feeling right now. A little chocolate, to make me a little happy.
Yeah, feel that. Well, the way I find happiness is drinking, so I'm getting a little twisted tea. That's how we're gonna start the episode off with what makes you happy. Some ice cream, some beer.
Ice cream and liquor.
Yeah, ice cream and liquor.
Ice cream and liquor. Best combination in the world to give you the runs at the end of the night.
Hey, make sure to take your Pepto. Make sure to take your Tums. All right, get all that shit.
Ooh, not the Pepto. Ooh, man, I had. Never mind. That's another story for this podcast, bro. I'm not even going to go there. What's up, Rick? How are you today,
That's
man?
Thoughts with Eric's podcast. You guys will get that later.
I promise you, if I made a podcast about my personal life, bro.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's either gonna do really, really well or really, really bad. There's no in between. The stories that I had throughout my life, bro. Yeah, it's crazy. Man, I don't even want to get in it because I don't want to get in trouble. You know what I mean, by the landlord. So I'm all good. I love you, baby. Hi.
Yeah.
Love.
It can't get any worse though than this Bears team. This Bears team has been pretty bad. And look, first of all, let's get right down to it. Right, they lost to the Broncos, 31-28. The offense though came out looking great. Like I don't know what the big change was. I don't know. I was actually shocked with how well the offense was clicking for the Bears. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields was rolling out. He made 16 passes in a row to for the record, for a Bears record, the only record that he broke that any modern day quarterback has broken for the Bears. I think
passing wise, right? Because he broke the rushing yards last year.
That's true. Passing wise, you're right. 16 completions in a row. The offense was clicking. No points scored in the first quarter, but they were taking their time getting downfield in that first quarter to score. 16 completions in a row, 335 yards, 4 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, like no rushing touchdowns for Fields, all passing touchdowns. Great game by Fields. And the defense seemed to hold up for 3 quarters and then absolutely choked. They absolutely had just like 100%. One of the biggest choke jobs of all time. Yeah. The Bears led with 28. The Bears led 28-7. 20 seconds left in the third quarter before the Broncos scored the last 24 points in the game to a victory. It looked like in the fourth quarter, I think a little under 3 minutes, looked like the Bears were going to be able to get it done. Get to the 2-minute warning, run out the clock, make the Broncos use their timeouts. But what happens? They're tied 28-28, and probably one of the worst play calls in history was that shotgun run on a 4th and 1. I don't know. Eric, what do you make of that? Is there anything I missed? But what do you make of that play?
So I know we're going to talk about the more negatives we're going to talk about the negatives more than the positives, right? Because obviously that's like the bigger impact in the game yesterday, right?
Yeah. From
the turnovers from Justin Fields to, like you just said, the miscue on the 4th and 1. It was by far the worst, probably coaching, decision making / play calling / whatever you want to frame it as. Mm-hmm. I think yesterday was the worst one, and I think yesterday for me, right, gives a better indication that it's been coaching all along than the players that's been on the field. And if one, you can't make adjustments on the offensive side of the ball when the defense makes the adjustments,
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. If you can't make adjustments on the defensive side of the ball, which by the way is your specialty because that's what you are, a defensive head coach or a defensive
Yep.
minded coach.
Yep.
If you can't make the adjustments either to what the Broncos do offensively, then that's why you're going to be overmatched and overcoached by in every game this upcoming season. So yeah, if anything, excuse me, as I'm burping up this brownie chocolate extreme over here.
We're older. We're
Um,
old people. Leave us
yeah,
alone.
I know, right? I know, right? I can't do the lactose anymore. It's the milk. It's the real milk. Almond milk next time. No, no, no. But for like back, but I think yesterday was clear that the fact that it's now the coaching instead of the players, and I think
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna get out of it, from yesterday's loss.
Yeah, completely agree. I just again, I was a proponent. I think they were at like the Broncos 18, 28, something like that. They were close to the red zone if not inside of it. They're in the fourth quarter with a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes left. I was definitely someone who was like, "Yo, try to get this first down, try to get a touchdown, right?" Like I was definitely that person. Looking back on it now, obviously the field goal would have been the smarter decision because, the Broncos now have to tie it, they score a field goal, but to win it, they have to, you try to make them go for that touchdown and you hope your defense holds. But
Yep, yep.
that was me. It would have been smarter to have gone for the field goal. It is what it is now, but like you said, this is definitely a coaching thing. Matt Eberflus's defense absolutely shitting the bed in crunch time, letting up a 3-score lead in a quarter and some change. Getsy with terrible play calling there down the stretch. They didn't score in the fourth quarter. You score once, you do 2 field goals, then you make it, the game almost out of reach for the Broncos, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's the play calling was weird, and CP makes a good point here. You know what I saw yesterday? Fields' pressure ramping up once he realized his defense and coaching wasn't going to stop anything, and that's a
No,
great
100%.
point. That's a
That's a
great
great
point.
point.
Yeah, because it's true, man. He saw, oh, this defense is letting up points, and granted, he did give up a fumble 6. Not totally his fault. There was an assignment missed or something when he rolled out, but he saw, oh shit, my defense isn't going to back me up, and this defense played really well for 3 quarters, but now they're fucking it up, and that's kind of what happened there at the end. But yes,
Yeah.
it's very much the coaching, very much a lot of pressure on Fields to continue to perform how he was those first 3 quarters, and that's kind of what you get at the end.
Yeah, man, and it's sad to see because for once, Rick, I think we finally saw a complete Bears performance for 3 quarters. I think it's
Yeah.
something that we've been asking for and wanting for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It was against the Broncos at that time, and at that moment, it was against the Broncos that just let up a 70 piece last week against the Dolphins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't really that much excited to get to. But for once, I guess we finally saw that the Bears offense and the defense, because they got some pressure on Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
The defense also stepping up a little bit, but it was mainly more the offense. I mean, hell, like you said, Justin Fields finally threw for 300 yards yesterday. Justin Fields finally had a 4 touchdown game. Justin Fields broke the franchise record going 16 for 16
Mm-hmm.
straight, right? The
Mm-hmm.
one incomplete pass that he had was a I guess you could kind of say like a Hail Mary that okay, whatever happens happens.
Yep.
We really don't care,
Yep.
right? And it carried on over after halftime. It carried over, and we got more points. We got 28, in the third quarter. So by and large, it was at that time a complete Bears performance. Given
Mm-hmm.
what the opponent was, I think that's what we wanted to see from the Chicago Bears, and we finally got it up until the fourth quarter when they started giving up the points because the Bears couldn't adjust defensively or
They
offensively.
could not. They
They
could
got too
not adjust.
conservative. To
Yep.
me, the Bears failed. Like put into boxing reference, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
got a man disoriented, when you got a man in the corner and you got him all messed up, you go for the knockout. You go for the juggler. You keep going. You pressure. You apply pressure until you knock him out or you get him down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Bears didn't do that. The Bears don't know how to smell blood to put an opponent away and to put an opponent down because they haven't been in the situation for over a year. They haven't been in a situation where they don't know how to have a big lead or know how to maintain a football game or how to keep applying the pressure because they haven't been in that situation for almost close to a year.
Yep.
Granted, yes, they won 3 games last season with less talent. Okay, cool. That's fine. That's great. But also this year with the better talent, a better group around them, supposedly, and it was shown yesterday with the better talent, DJ Moore going for 100 yards and a touchdown,
Yeah.
right? Cole Kmet being the same Cole Kmet ending the season how he did last year strong.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears couldn't smell blood. The Bears weren't the shark in the water smelling the blood. They were just the guppies being behind
Yeah.
and getting nothing out of it. And that was the sad part that I saw yesterday about the Chicago Bears was the fact that they couldn't handle the pressure nor or didn't know how to handle the opportunity to close out a game because having lost 13 games straight in a row was the reason why the Bears couldn't get a win yesterday.
And yesterday marked number 14. 14 losses in a row. And the Bears are making history in another sense where they've let up 25 or more points in how many? 14 games in a row, I believe it was, as well. I think it was as many as they've
Something like that
lost in a
sounds
row.
about right, yeah.
It's insane. But, we look at these negatives. We got to look at some of the positives, kind of like Eric was saying, right? Fields, again, he passed for 335 yards, first time over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 132.7 passer rating, 4 touchdowns total, 3 of them on 3 straight possessions, 2 to Kmet, 1 to DJ Moore, the other one to Khalil Herbert. Moore at 131 yards. Khalil Herbert had over 100 yards rushing. Mooney showed up, 4 catches,
Yeah, he got a couple
yards.
passes.
Yeah, and you look at all these stats, and you kind of look at it on paper, and you're like, well, the Bears had to have won, right? Like, just because of what they've done this season, the first 3 games, they had to have won this game. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No. And again, we go back to the coaching, we go back to the decision making. It's bad. And Tony, thanks for hopping in the stream. Tony's saying the coaching staff lost this game. Everyone sees what other teams are doing, and the coaches had no answers.
Bro, even everybody saw. I saw. You saw probably the whole entire stadium and the Denver Broncos saw that 4th and 1 play that we started talking about. Everybody knew that ball was going to Khalil Herbert, right? It's 4th and 1. You would think that you want to get 3 feet instead of being 2 yards back just to get 1 yard, right?
Yep.
So in retrospect, you're trying to gain 4 yards to gain 1 yard to get ahead on downs, right?
Yeah.
And that didn't make any sense, And I know that whole what's that shit? What is it called? Butt plug or the butt push or whatever it is to get that 1 yard that Philadelphia does.
Butt plug. I'm gonna go with butt plug. Yeah, butt plug.
Yeah. It that should have worked. Hell, I would have considered that tight end run with Cole Kmet better than coming out of a run off a shotgun on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
I would have been better with that. I would have been happier with that for the attempt. But no, the smartest thing to do, you alluded to earlier, was to get the field goal. Get the points, put the pressure on the Broncos to go down, start wherever you want to start them from, and let them be the ones pressured to either tie this game or, if they go down the field and win the game by a touchdown play, then, it would have been like, okay, the Bears applied the pressure. They did what they did do. Matt Eberflus still would have looked bad because the defense couldn't stop a lick, in the 4th quarter. So no matter what would have happened, whether if he got to the field goal and then the defense would have let him down because he's a defensive-minded coach, at the end of the day, the fault was still going to be on the coaches, and the players would have gone away scotch-free because Getsy couldn't be, stop being aggressive, and Matt Eberflus got out-coached. So no matter what would have happened and what outcome would have happened outside of a win, the coaching staff, like Tony alluded, would have been the reason why they lost the game yesterday.
Yeah, and you talk about that. You talk about the aggressiveness that the Bears really lack because just last week the Broncos really were a victim of that with the Dolphins. The Dolphins scored 70 points, had an opportunity to score a record-tying NFL record, right? Or a record-breaking record. But again, you say that the Bears lack that, man. I don't know. Like there were some trick plays too that they threw in there. You mentioned the Kmet play, right? Like he rushed it. He took the snap.
Bayless got a play in there too.
Bayless got an end around. Like there's just something about this team when they're up big, which is weird to say. They just could not close it out. They could not put the foot on the neck to really close out the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It just seems like, again, we talk about the coaching, but Eberflus, defensive-minded coach, lets the defense let's Sean Payton, Russ Wilson, and the defense just the stat. That's what it happens. And it's
Yeah.
like, how are we supposed to have confidence in our head coach, who's a defensive guy, say for 2 weeks in a row, I'm going to handle the defense, and then this is what he shows us for 2 weeks in a row. We didn't expect this game to be anywhere, or sorry, last week against the Chiefs to be a win, but we didn't expect that piece of shit. And it looked like in the first 3 quarters of this game, we were going for a win, and then it just shits the bed in the fourth quarter with the defense. It's like, what are we? This is the same team. It's Russ Wilson. It's the same guys that you just played for 3 quarters. What is different? What is different?
It was the adjustment. It was basically the defense playing the a spy on Justin Fields, a little after the third quarter, after they scored the last touchdown, before when they got to 28 points. It was that they had a spy on Justin. They couldn't do the outside game. They couldn't go vertically because they knew that they got a little bit too conservative. They play the run a lot. They try to do design plays for Justin Fields, like you said, the fumble strip that he got, that went back to tie the game. It was a play call that even the Denver Broncos knew was going to happen, an RPO that failed on them. And on the moments, I know we always said that Justin Fields needs to throw the ball away and not get the sack. That's the instance where, you know what, bro, they got you, they caught you, just fall down.
Yeah.
And you could tell it's a learning curve still for Justin, and he's not being coached up to that. He's not being coached up to. I feel like he's listening to his problem, maybe not to us, but people in this industry that is listened to around the whole city of Chicago, that Justin Fields, hey, bro, you need to throw it away. So what he does in a pressure situation when the guy is like 4 or 5 feet in front of him, he decides to throw it away and he loses the ball. And then it becomes a fumble and they could run it back for 6, right? Then he's going to hear probably this week, like, yeah, Justin, you know what? Just take the hit. Well, guess what? When another pressure situation like that is going to happen, whether he won't know whether to throw it away or take the hit, and it's going to be in between both, and we're going to criticize him because of that, because of the pressure that's going to be falling for the guy. It's, again, man, everything would have been just plain sweet and simple if they would have just kicked the field goal, and maybe it would have been a different story if they would have tied it or the Broncos came down the field and scored a touchdown, regardless of the fact, no blame would have been put on Justin Fields, unlike how it unfolded on Sunday.
Yep.
And if we go to the comments, I think, which one was it? Hold on, Rick. I think it was one from CP that he had. Yeah, this one. He said that was that one we absolutely had to have, because now we turn it around, play Thursday night against a tough Commanders team. That streak is most likely to continue.
Yep.
And we will get to that a little later in the show, but it was. I'm trying to look at more on a positive aspect that, I feel like the offense has finally turned it around.
Yeah.
Right. I see the offense taking the next steps, because I saw it in my own 2 eyes for 3 quarters. Like, I saw it that this offense can be what it could look like every single week.
Yeah.
Just like what we saw on Sunday, bro. It just, and if it looks like that, the win will come. It's just the coaching just lets us down week in and week out.
Yeah, and you say the positives, and I was trying to go positive earlier, but I always go into the negatives. But let's go into the positives. Let's 100% list the positives. We already talked about Fields. DJ Moore put out a great effort, especially for that touchdown. Equinemius St. Brown had a circus catch.
Ooh, that was a great catch.
Yeah, that was amazing how he had the concentration to have both feet in and catch the ball, secure it. Mooney, Khalil Herbert, the offensive line. We have to give them credit after just the absolute abysmal showing they have had these first 3 games. They looked really good, and I was looking at all the dropbacks that Fields had. And I was like, oh, he must have, because you watch the game, you're kind of in the moment. After the game, you don't really realize how those touchdowns were scored. I think most of those, half of his touchdowns, so 2 of them, were in the pocket. And he completed a lot of his passes, a majority of his passes in the pocket. And the rest were, rolling out, play action type of stuff. So credit to the line. Borum did have a couple penalties. Darnell Wright had a couple penalties, but the line overall played really well. And it's something that I feel like all of us coming into this season after the offseason they had, especially after drafting Darnell Wright, we're like, this line is going to get better. And the first 3 games showed that they were terrible. They were letting up a lot of pressure on Fields.
100%.
But today, Sunday, they did really well as a unit. Again, there was a couple penalties, but is what it is. The defense put pressure on Russ. They were able to get some tackles for loss. I mean, they only had 1 sack, but I mean, it's 1 more sack than we've had
In the
first
last 2
games.
weeks.
Yeah. So they got a sack. They had a couple of tackles for losses. They had a couple good passes that were defended for like a first down. They broke it up. I think it was a rookie Smith. They did really well, and especially with Eddie Jackson being out, Kyler Gordon being out, a couple of the other guys being banged up. Like, this was a defense that we didn't really think that was going to be doing this well. And sure, they let it up at the end, but again, we're focusing on the positives. For 3 quarters, they put a lot of pressure on Russ. They stopped the rushers. I forget Javonte Williams. They stopped him at the line a lot. They stopped him behind the line a lot. For 3 quarters, like you said, this game was a complete Bears game, and it was impressive. It was impressive what they did. But again, the negatives just at the end of the day, they lost the game. Eberflus and Getsy coached themselves out of a win. And all this coming after another week, a second straight week of just like headlines.
Yeah, 100%.
One of them, the main one, and the big one was Chase Claypool being asked in the locker room, do you think you're being put in a position to, produce? And he took a pause and he just shook his head and said no. After that, I think on Saturday, I was watching the post-game interview with Justin Fields that Saturday the coaches had let him know, as well as the rest of the team, that Chase Claypool was going to be inactive for the game. And I mean, look what happens. Look what Justin Fields does, right? Like, look what the offense does. But for a second straight week, you have headlines. For a second straight week, the head coach and the offensive coordinator just fucked everything up at the end. You know what I mean? Like, after 2 weeks of headlines, you still have 2 weeks of losses. And what can you go? You can't show anything for it. You really can't.
Absolutely not, man. Let's go to the comments real quick. Rick, I got you with this one. Tony Go says the whole third quarter was like watching exactly what the Chiefs were doing, throwing against by the end zone. CP Go said Matt looks like a coach who isn't coaching to win and be aggressive, but more like coaching avoiding to screw up and lose his job. I see it in Fields' play. Justin was aggressive yesterday, play free compared to what he was trying to avoid mistakes in the past few weeks. Apparently, like, he expected it from you. He expected the piece of shit, Rick. He's, that's
Yeah.
that's what he expected.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've seen the past couple of weeks, I mean, it was bound more to happen that they were going to play like shit than actually playing really good, or some shit to happen to outweigh the good. Tony goes real quick. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Tony goes, yeah, bro, it was, but it was against a bad defense that gave up 70 points. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, it is true. But I mean, at the same time, like, I felt like they could have gone for more, right? They let off they laid the foot off the gas. They couldn't smell the blood. They couldn't taste it. Nothing. They could have put this game out of its misery a long time ago, before even the fourth quarter, but they didn't. CP goes, Justin's positive definitely outweighed the negatives. I was pissed about the defense mostly. And you know what? I mean, I agree and disagree with this point that CP is saying, simply because, yes, there's a lot of good that came out of this game out of Justin Fields, but if it wasn't for them losing 13 straight games, technically the negatives outweigh the positives, because they lost for a 14th straight game. They lost another game where they lost for the first time leading by 20 points or more. They made a team come back. They couldn't look aggressive anymore, right? And even though Justin Fields had his best career game as a Chicago Bear, those mistakes that he had in the end, whether you blame him or not, whether the pick was his fault because they were pressured, because they were down, or even the fumble, those negatives will always outweigh the positives, simply because of this losing streak that the Bears currently are at. And just to go on your Claypool situation, CPC, he says he feels like Claypool's non-work ethic not being there helped us too. Those guys were working hard on offense. He's seen it. We all saw it. We all felt it. There was a difference in this game, in this offense playing how they was without Chase Claypool. I mean, we knew this was going to be a problem from the start. I mean, from when I heard or kept reading from week one in the opening game against the Packers, they named 12 starters, 13 starters, and one of them being Chase Claypool because he wasn't in the starting lineup, but he wanted to be a
Yeah.
starter. And it was just a problem all off season. Everybody working out, everybody getting together. Chase Claypool was here and there, but in the most important part of the off season, he was out in Europe on a fashion show. So like
Hmm.
we knew where his priority stood by it, and unfortunately Ryan Poles made the awful decision of giving up a second round pick, the first pick in the second round
Yep.
for Chase Claypool, and now he's not going to be with the team this week on a short week against the Commanders.
And then just the work ethic thing, like I had done a video about it, a short video, so go check that out on the
I
YouTube,
saw that on
Instagram.
TikTok. Yes.
Yep, and on TikTok. I, you know, sure, talking about the coaches, absolutely fair with the way they've been handling the situation the past 14 fucking games. Totally fair. But as a player, like we can do that as fans, the media can do it, analysts can do it, absolutely. But as players, you got to keep that shit in house, man. And especially after what you did over the offseason, after the lack of trying that you did in the first couple weeks, the lack of production. This is a guy who's had 18 catches for a touchdown and like 200 or less yards.
It's that
Like,
part right there, Rick.
like you don't talk shit when you, and I've said it before, he plays like a soft ass receiver when he's like 6'5" or something like that. Like this is a big guy. His rookie year he had 1,000+ yards or something.
And
This is a
touchdowns.
guy that was
Mhm.
drafted under Notre Dame to be a number one, and he's just soft as fuck.
Yeah, and it's crazy you say that too because remember it depends on what type of caliber player you are. And the one thing that you said is true. It's a
Mm-hmm.
guy who's talking smack, right? That hasn't really produced. The
Yep.
week before, Justin Fields kind of sort of really not really threw the coaching under the bus, but he kind of got away with it in a way because Justin
He,
Fields had produced and also he's the quarterback of the team.
yeah.
So like it weighs on what you are, no matter
Yeah.
what position. But as long as you work for it or you do what you do correctly and there's
Mm-hmm.
no problem with you. And for you, Chase Claypool would have been okay if he would have had just a little bit more production. Talk about like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, he just got here. Yeah, he may be out of line, but I mean, the man is producing, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he has sort of kind of the right to say this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said he hasn't done shit since he got here, so it's
Yep.
like, why your actions spoke louder than your words. Your head shake meant more than the no
Mm-hmm.
that you said right after the head shake in that pause.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the comment afterwards was kind of like, okay, bro, you messed up by shaking your head no in front of the cameras and in front of reporters, and then you're trying to make it up because you realize, damn, I fucked up. So let
Yep.
me fix this a little bit that I can, but a little bit too little, too late. And you aren't that guy, man. Like, yes, you're 6'4". If you see me in the streets, you probably would beat my ass, right? 6'4", like God. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. Yeah.
at the same time, it's kind of like, dude, like you have everything. Why aren't you doing everything? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it sucks, man. It really does suck. Um, like you said, back to back weeks where the Bears are just major headlines because of something negative in the locker room,
Yep.
and it was, yeah, man. It wasn't great. It wasn't great, and I hate to see this because now we're talking another week of more bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
another loss to this losing streak. But this time it stings a little bit more because the Bears finally look good, man. The Bears finally look good on
Yeah.
offense. The Bears looked like they had an answer on defense. They couldn't adjust to what Sean Payton and the Broncos were doing
Yep.
late in the third and the whole entire fourth quarter. And now we're on into a short week where we have to face the Commanders on Thursday, man. And it just it bothers me. It
Mm-hmm.
bothers me. This one, I could see the more positives. I could be a little bit more optimistic because of what I saw. But man, this one bothered me a little bit most because of how it turned out.
Yeah. 100%. And let's go from Chase Claypool, another negative to another negative. Like, Eberflus isn't going to get fired in the middle of the year. Is there any, 14 games in a row he's lost? Is there any shot he stays on for next season after the end of this year. Like, there's no way, right?
Oh,
But I
hell
mean,
no, he's not gonna be here next year.
there's no way
There's no way.
because he is one of the worst coaches in the league right now.
He's probably he's going to be one of the worst head coaches in the Chicago Bears history
Yeah.
if this continues. I mean, I think he's already there if I'm not mistaken. But if you would have said something about like would he be a head coach during the season still? I would have said here and said yes. I think he will still be the head coach for the Chicago Bears throughout this whole entire season. But if you say after the season, hell no, Rick. No, there's no chance. There's no shot. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
And that Matt Eberflus would be a head coach next season for the Chicago Bears.
Any team, really, for that matter.
Yeah. Any team. Well, and that's the one thing. Like the credibility of what you do as a head coach can either make or break you.
Yeah.
To get another job once you get fired.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
And Tony agrees. He says, "Hell no."
Right. Tony agrees, and then Jose and John are already on here on the comments too as well. Like Mark Trestman at least had one good year, right? I mean, they went 8-8. My bad. I think you and I clicked at the same time.
Yeah.
The Trestman at least went 8-8 and missed the playoffs by a game, right? But that was the one and only good season that the Chicago Bears had under Mark Trestman. The same thing. He's already worse than Mark Trestman, which is by far the worst coach that we can actually think about and actually agree that he was worse. But at least Trestman had an offense that was in top 5, top 10 categories in that year. I mean, this is where I want to go. And this is where probably a lot of people would kind of disagree with me right now, right? He has to go now. And I say that would be a bad idea if you let Matt Eberflus go right now. Because it's like a 2-for-1. You're not only losing your head coach, you're also losing your defensive coordinator at the same time. When you don't have a defensive coordinator at the moment, where you don't have an assistant coach at the moment. So technically it's like you're losing 3-1 if you fire Matt Eberflus right now.
That's true.
And I'm sorry to say that. Yes, I know the Bears have that stigma of not firing head coaches in the middle of the season, but this one is going to last a lot longer than usual, unless if they find a backup, unless if they put the job posting on Indeed or on ZipRecruiter that their head coaching position is available, and, as long as you have the CV to require.
Yeah.
But to be completely honest with you, like if you fire Matt Eberflus, who's your defensive coordinator, who's your assistant coach, and who's your head coach? That's 3 position coach that you have to fill for one guy.
Yep.
And like you can't do that now. And I know I know that's not what you guys want to hear, but at the same time, that's the reality where the Bears have to realize. An interim coach comes from your system that you have right now, from your assistant coaches or your defensive coordinators. It's only Luke Getsy. So if you, like I said, if you fire Eberflus, you're literally losing your defensive coordinator and your head coach.
Yep. And another part of me too, like, again, we know the Bears do not fire coaches in the middle of the season. One, because it's kind of respectable to give them a job, but 2, it's because they're cheap as shit. The McCaskies are cheap as shit, man. They're not going to give up money for no reason. Like, you're going to do something if we're going to give you money.
100%.
The other reason I look at this is like, okay, if the Bears are going to be this bad all year long, we mentioned the Commanders coming up on a short week, probably going 0-5, whatever. That's a discussion for JCA on Wednesday. At least we're getting a top 5 pick. The Panthers are the only other undefeated team. We're getting right now. We're 1-2, baby. We're picks 1 and 2 for NFL Draft 2024. Yeah. And as much as like we love the idea as Bears fans, we love like, oh, we're gonna get Caleb Williams. We're gonna get another quarterback. Drake Mays, Marvin Harrison Jr., whatever picks may be. It's always in the back of my mind, are we going to even be able to develop these guys into the players that they are expected to be? That is the biggest question I have. And a lot of these guys are very like can't miss prospects. Caleb Williams is supposed to be the next can't miss, like Trevor Lawrence and like Patrick Mahomes, for example, right? Marvin Harrison Jr., probably going to be a good receiver. Who knows if he can reach his potential as far as like a Hall of Fame type of receiver. But
Hey, don't
again,
go
it
there,
just,
Rick.
huh?
Don't go there
Yeah,
yet.
that's what I mean. Like that's the kind of like ideas in my head where I'm like, if Fields goes to, I don't know, let's say the Jets had picked Fields, they probably would be in a better situation with Fields because they can develop guys. I think I talked about it on Only Football. The only successful Bears quarterback that they've had in the last ever was Jay Cutler, and that was because he was a veteran and he wasn't developed by the Bears. He was the only one who led the Bears offense to top 5 seasons.
The
And he
king
was
of
not
mediocre.
developed by the Bears. He was a veteran in the game. It's like, how bad do you have to be as an organization with that kind of just like track record as we bring in Tony Football. Tony Football is in the building. We're talking Bears. I want to know what your reaction was to the game, Tony.
Yo, Rick, Eric, what up?
What up?
My reaction to the game, I was happy. I was happy they lost, man. Look, I'm already here. I'm already there, Rick. I'm already there. I am already there
Looking at the draft?
where I was last season. That's it.
Yeah.
And I was contemplating being there before this game, and then once this game played out, the more and more in that second half, when I started seeing them dwindling down, I was like, you know what? This is it. This is exactly where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers lost, the Bears lost, and it's it.
Oh, yeah. Sexy Rexy, Tony. Sexy Rexy.
We have to move toward the future. This season with Matt Eberflus as our head coach, we're not going anywhere. We're not. Justin Fields showed a glimpse of what potential he has, and I don't want to put a lot of blame on him because he played his ass off.
Yeah.
But key moments in that fourth quarter showed his experience. It showed his development there under Matt Eberflus with the Bears organization.
And Lou Getty.
And yeah, it's not going to work this year. Chalk this season up as a loss. There's no way in hell they turn it around, especially under that coach or those coaches. It's just not going to happen.
And that basically ties into what we were just talking about is like the Bears right now have the number 1, number 2 pick in the 2024 draft.
No.
What Eric? What do you say to that? What do you say to what Tony Football just said? Like he's already looking at the draft.
I don't know about Tony Football, but I mean, look, yesterday, like Jose said, and the one thing he said that I agree with. I mean, he did say a lot of things that are probably right at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Was the fact that you saw the glimpse of Justin Fields being what he can be, what his potential could reach if you coach him the right way. And it's 100% true. And I think that you don't give up on a guy who's 24 years old in his first year go around. And I get it. 2 coaching changes. There's glimpses and flashes of here and there. It's not been put in consistently. Other than that stretch last year, even during the losing streak where the Bears were a top 5 offense from week 6 or 5 or 6 to like week 12 or 13 of last season, there's moments that Justin Fields can be a top dog and a top quarterback in this league, right? I'm not ready to throw in the towel. And I get it that there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out of this draft next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you get the right pieces around him, I think you could do wonders. But again, we go back and what we talked about last week is the fact that Ryan Poles did not draft Justin Fields. This is not Ryan Poles' guy. And if you decide to let go of Justin Fields, it's going to have to be a trade because you cannot draft a quarterback if Fields is your guy and is on your team this year. I mean, you could say the whole quarterback competition bullshit to me. You could run that by my face this whole entire time. But at the end of the day, guys, it's not how it works. Like either you're gonna be with this guy or you're gonna let this guy go. And yes, you have that option of trading him with 1 year left and another option on top of that. So that draft pick can be, hopefully, if he produces the way he produced over the weekend or yesterday, should I say, could be either a second round pick, B, a third or fourth round pick, and C, just because this is on the bottom, just for hypothetical speaking, of course, is right now because there's going to be no teams on there, possibly even a first round pick if he just explodes from here on out, right?
Yeah.
But we're looking more towards it's going to be the highest it's going to possibly be is a second, maybe a third, but 4th through 6th looks like a draft pick for Justin Fields to receive in this team and maybe multiple picks that same draft or the draft after that because, again, you're getting a guy who has technically 2 years on his deal.
Tony,
I
what
don't
do you
agree.
think? You think
I
you
don't
trade him
agree.
right now?
Oh, 100%. Look, I don't agree, Rick, with look, here's the thing. Before Eric went, I wasn't done. Look, Justin Field played his ass off, and I don't put too much blame on him, but that was against the Broncos defense, which I think is probably the worst defense in the league besides our
100%.
defense. Okay? Let's not forget Mitchell Trubisky threw how many touchdowns against Tampa Bay in that 1 year, and he looked like a world beater.
Yeah.
These bad quarterbacks are due for good games if they're playing against the right type of defense. This is going to
Zach
happen.
Wilson outperformed Patrick Mahomes yesterday, right?
That's
Exactly,
true,
but
that's
okay,
true.
but it's true. But nobody's gonna give. Nobody's clamoring to get Zach Wilson in Chicago Bears. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. No. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm
Fuck
sorry.
it,
Like,
bring him to Chicago. Fuck
look,
it.
I'm sorry. Justin Fields ain't it, guys. He's not. I'm
Yeah.
looking for the future. I'm looking to get rid of Fields. I'm looking to get rid of Eberflus. They all gotta go, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that game yesterday had more to say about the Broncos and how bad their team defense was. At least, okay, in the first half, had more to say about the Broncos than it did the Bears. The second half had more to say about the Bears because it's just a debacle there. But I don't want to give Justin Krill too much credit because is anybody here or Eric, are you a believer of Mitchell Trubisky? He had a lot of good games with the Bears. He had quite a few. So I don't want to hear it. So I don't want to hear that.
Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky. Same records otherwise, or whatever you can say.
Right.
But Justin Fields has what Mitchell Trubisky does have, and that's he can at least play the quarterback position. Has he shown it here in Chicago? No.
Eric,
and you can give Mitchell Trubisky his right on the coattails behind a good defense and whatnot. But to be honest with you, Justin Fields has more of a potential than Mitchell Trubisky ever had here in Chicago.
Justin Fields is a better runner than Mitchell Trubisky.
No, definitely not.
He's
definitely not. I think yesterday.
If you look at any other statistics in the quarterback position, Trubisky is slightly better than Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And with the same amount of games in every single freaking category other than running the football. And last time I checked, a quarterback throws, not runs. That's a running back. Okay, so I get it. I get it. Eric, you're there. I get it. You're not there yet, but you will be. Okay, when this guy continues over and over this season to just ruin games, he's done, guys. That's it. This is over with. This experiment is done. He's not Ryan Poles' guy. Ryan Poles is going to save his ass. The scapegoat is going to be two. He has two of them right now. He has three. He has Getsy, he has Eberflus, and he has Justin Fields. But Justin Fields is the only one he didn't bring in. So that's. I mean,
no, he didn't bring in either of the three.
He did.
No, he did not. He did not bring in Eberflus. He was already here when they got him. No, sir. He did. None of those three are his. Eberflus, Getsy, and Fields are not his.
Yeah, Eberflus. They hired Eberflus before they got.
They hired Eberflus before they got Poles.
That's the issue right there.
And that's what I mean. Like this Bears organization is so fucked. The head coach not only inherited the quarterback. Justin Fields inherited Eberflus, who inherited Poles, who inherited Kevin Warren. You got to tear it all down, man. You got to tear it. They went from quarterback upwards. You go from the president and CEO downwards.
They literally went ass backwards. I don't understand.
They really did, man.
They built the roof before they built the house.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like the way the Bears develop their entire organization is just ass backwards. But to get back on track,
you know whose fault is that, Frank?
Oh, it's the fucking the fucking cheapskis, the McCheapskis. That's what I'm gonna fucking call them from here on out. The McCheapskis. But to get back on track with Fields, man, I said this last week after the Chiefs loss. I so want Fields to be a successful quarterback in this league, and I'm already at that point where I'm like, you know what? If he's gonna be successful, it's not gonna be on the Bears, and it pains me because, man, last year when he was breaking records, 60-yard touchdown runs, putting up crazy numbers just yesterday, over 300 yards finally for the first time in his career, I was like, I keep going back. I'm like insane. What is the definition of insanity? Just doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. Just like Tony Football said, it's not going to fucking happen, man. It's not going to happen.
Look at the Texans. Look at the Texans with C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud is like 300-yard games. They went crazy on the
He's breaking records himself.
Yeah.
He has the most passing yards and passing completions since Cam Newton. Like,
by a rookie,
why
right?
can't that be the Bears?
Before throwing his first interception. Yeah.
It's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
I just wish the Bears, because it's like, I don't know if this is punishment for having one of the best running backs in the entire NFL in sweetness, or what, but
Ooh, for real.
it's just it's I feel like we're just cursed. The turn of the
Yeah.
century was a curse, except for the Blackhawks, the Sox, and the Cubs. The basketball and football was like cursed completely. But yeah, man, Justin isn't the guy anymore. At least for us, if they don't trade him with a year on his rookie deal left, I don't know what the Bears expect, because
So
if
so
you go into the
I'm
draft,
assuming and I'm guessing, right? I don't mean to interrupt you, Rick, and I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But I'm guessing that you guys are a big believer of him going back home to Atlanta and being the quarterback for the Falcons, right? Because that one's
I don't,
basically the hot topic and the hot pick
I
of
don't
Justin
care.
Fields being traded to, because Ritter ain't
Yeah.
the guy.
I mean, if they give a first round pick, which I
I don't
highly
think he's
doubt
gonna
they
be first
will,
pick.
yeah, I highly doubt they will. I don't think that's a bad deal for Justin. I don't think that's a bad deal for him.
A
Why not
second
go
and a
back to Atlanta?
fourth is what they probably might get, or even a third and a fourth or a fifth.
I'm good with a second and fourth. A second and fourth for Justin Fields. Fuck yeah. And you got an extra year on his rookie deal. And you go to a team that is known for running the ball, and you put a dynamic, athletic quarterback in that offensive mix. Desmond Ritter isn't the guy in Atlanta. You put Justin Fields in that offense, oof, you better watch out.
With
NFC
Kyle
South.
Pitts,
With
Drake
Kyle
London.
Pitts, who's not getting the ball. Like,
That
if
scheme
we
is
get a
more
second,
tailor made for Fields.
what's that?
That scheme over there is more tailor made for Justin Fields, for
Yeah.
sure. I agree.
Yeah. And I was going to say, if you go into the draft with a top 5 pick, 2 top 5 picks, let's say, you got to spend one of those on a quarterback. You got to spend one of those on, I don't know. I would like another wide receiver, but I don't know. Do you go lineman? Do you go defensive lineman? Defense, right? Like that's
Defense.
just
Yeah.
the way it goes. Yeah.
I would say you go defense, but I guess it all depends. You know, if you have 1 and 2, I say you get the best 2, no matter what the position
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You go best 2.
I kind of like that. I do.
You know what I
I
mean?
think I think that's what like
The
Atlanta did
Texans.
with Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, but didn't the Texans have 1 and 2 this year?
They
This
got
past year?
they traded. So yeah, the Texans drafted C.J. Stroud, and then
Yeah.
they drafted one, or they traded a pick to get
2
more
and 3,
picks,
right?
just to jump right back in to get Will
Yeah.
Anderson. That's exactly what
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went back to back. They went second.
Or
and third.
technically, no, they had 2 first round picks, but one was in the very beginning, was theirs, and another one was from another team, and they used that draft pick to jump on ahead and get Will Anderson.
Get Will
Yeah.
Anderson. Yeah.
But you're seeing it pay off for them. And the Bears got to do the same
100%.
thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, in order for this to really change, you got to get rid of the coaching staff. You have to start fresh with whoever you bring in next year, whether it is
Yeah.
Fields or insert quarterback that's going to be drafted, right? Regardless of the fact, you need a whole new identity, because this is not getting it done. I mean, Matt Eberflus is getting he's getting a lot of blame, and rightfully so, through the media, because it just shows that this guy is just he does not know what he's doing anymore.
Nah,
When he
this
got
is- this is
hired, he had
beyond.
black hair. This man's grayed out. This
Yeah.
man's grayed out. I've never seen worse roots on just a chick who hasn't had her hair done in a couple weeks. He has got gray hair from the first day as a Bears head coach. It's insane how bad he is.
The way he's handling Chase Claypool's situation just shows how
Yes.
out of touch he really is in this
Yes.
locker room. Like, it is a mess.
This city, right? The city of Chicago. We call it the one of the big boy markets, right? Third market in the world,
I hate
in
hearing
the
that, by
country,
the way.
so on and so forth, and all this, right? And handling so for the Chicago Bears, the charter franchise, like the questions come hard and heavy. And if you're not prepared, or if you're not Lovie Smith or Bill Belichick and say nothing at all, if you're gonna answer each and every question, you better answer every question with vindication, right? You better answer your question with confidence. And the one thing about the last 2 coaches is, like, one doesn't know how to say things, and the other one said things just to say things to the media. It's mind-boggling that this is where we're at, right? Because don't get me wrong, John Fox was just here just to collect a check, but he also helped build the foundation of that loosey goosey, crazy ass mindset that happened with
Yeah.
Mark Trestman. If
He's
there's
the
credit
only,
that I'm
he's
gonna
the
give John
only one
Fox,
who had any type of experience.
exactly. Exactly, and this is where like okay, like where are you gonna go? Like who are you gonna get as a coach? Like if you're gonna get another first year head coach caller, like you better have a guy who shows a lot of moxie. I hear Ben Johnson a lot, who hasn't had a head
Same.
coaching experience. The
Same.
one guy that I will go calling first is a guy that played quarterback here in Jim Harbaugh. At least
Yeah.
everywhere that he went, he had
Yeah.
success, and you can't tell me otherwise. In college and in the pros, he
Mm-hmm.
took the 49ers to a Super Bowl. He took Stanford to a national title game. Even though he's struggling in Michigan, he's making Michigan football relevant again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you really want this thing to change, if you really want that experience as a head coach, the guy up in here in Ann Arbor, he can do it. And then he could go grab Caleb Williams and maybe Marvin Harrison and do this all over again.
Yeah.
With Ryan Poles being like, this is my guy and this is how we're going to do it, with him and Kevin Warren being back to back, even though Kevin Warren wasn't Ryan Poles' guy.
And he
But
needs to,
all it takes is guys just to communicate to make this all better.
and he would be the type of guy that would go in there and go up to the McCheapskis and be like, "Yo, this is my fucking team, whether you like it or not." Kevin Warren, you're the CEO president. You make the money flow. I make the team good. Make sure the GM listens to me and I have a say in it. And that's how this team fucking runs, man.
Yeah.
Because outside of that, like everyone else is just not good at developing a football team. He would be someone who comes in, and I don't know what his coaching style would be with a rookie quarterback, but for me, if you get a Caleb Williams, start him right away. Start him.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I mean, he's coming into a way better situation than Justin Fields and Mitch Trubisky had.
100%.
He has a legit number one wide receiver, an offensive line that is building. They are building it. They have some key pieces in it, and like look, Ryan Poles. We're blaming Eberflus, not Poles, because Poles, he still did some things that we're proud of, that we're happy with, and so the jury's still out on him. But it's just
other than Claypool.
Yeah, well, that was. I mean,
that was the worst move ever.
But I mean, you're not going to win every single time. You're going to have to take an L here.
You're going to miss it. And the Steelers did us dirty, man.
The Steelers did us dirty.
At this point, I wish he went to Green Bay now. Shit.
And you look at what Jalen Carter's doing with the Eagles, and you're like, well, shit.
No. I'm okay with Darnell Wright. I'm okay with Darnell Wright.
And Darnell Wright
I'm okay with
really
it.
well.
You could tell me, you could tell me this and that about Jalen Carter, and I know that supposedly this team wasn't ready to handle a head case like Jalen Carter, right? Even though we already have a debacle in ourselves already. But honestly, I think if Jalen Carter was here with all this mess, we would have lost this kid a long time ago, and he wouldn't have been as productive as he is in Philadelphia.
That I agree with, but he was still projected to be number one.
Oh, I get it. No, you're absolutely right.
That talent.
I get it. That man shot himself in the foot, and God blessed him with an opportunity to be with a team that's Super Bowl ready, bunch of veterans that know how to take care of each other, and he's just following the right path.
I agree though. Under this regime, he would have been caught.
Yeah, bro, we would a lot. He would have probably been in a car accident or something bad would have happened to him within the last couple of weeks, bro. To be honest with you,
bro, that's exactly what happens. We're not going to go there.
I mean, I know I don't want to, but it feels like something like that would have happened. To be honest with you,
I want to hit this comment because I 100% agree with it, but I highly doubt it's going to happen. Tony's saying start boycotting the games and send the message to the owners that we as fans are tired of all this bullshit. I 100% agree with that. Like, the McCheapskis are one thing, and that is they're not – they love money. They are not cheap. They're not cheap, even though they're McCheapskis for me. They're not cheap. They like to hold on to their money.
Yeah,
so maybe they are cheap.
Owners here.
Yeah. And so you take a hit their wallet, man, they're going to – something's going to happen. But the thing is – we're still going to go to Bears games. I still watch Bears games. I still buy stuff. Like it's something that as fans we do. And I've never been someone who said, like, don't buy shit because whatever. But this is getting really scary close to me just being like, I'm not even going to buy anything for a long time. But
what's that one word? The moment that the fans show empathy, you already lost one?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, but I'd love for it to.
No, and I was going to say, like, I showed the guys on a text, and I'll probably show it to you guys later, too, as well. I know I love to talk about football and stuff, but if we really want to protest, just look up the protests of Ajax and Netherlands and how they're protesting their sports directors, their owners and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did see that.
See how they're protesting? I think that's how far we need to go.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's a whole different country. You can't get 10 people to have the same opinion in one room, and let alone a whole fan base. Not to mention, there's so many bandwagons. You start like if the real fans stop showing up to games, then we're just gonna have people who want to go to a game just still show up. Like there's still gonna be people who really don't care too much. They just want to go to a football game.
I mean, at this point, we're really gonna see like, oh shit, Justin Herbert's coming. I'll go see Justin Herbert. When, how often we're gonna see? Are we gonna see Patrick Mahomes? Oh, Patrick Mahomes. I'll go see Patrick Mahomes.
You want to go see the other team.
You only get 8 of these. You know, just.
What's that? We drafted Caleb Williams. Hell yeah, Bears are gonna win the North. They're going to the playoffs. It's the whole thing. I don't know what to do. You know, we talked about the game in total. Like it was a win for the offense up until the fourth quarter. It was a complete game, like Eric said, for 3 quarters. You had the Claypool thing. The Eberflus doesn't know what he's saying at the podium. He started off with black hair. That man's got the whitest hair I've ever seen in my life. Now, after just a year and a half with the Bears, pulls one really, really bad move, and it's starting to really show with Claypool. Looking into the future, I just, dude, it looks bleak. Like Tony Football said, I'm already looking at the draft too. It's just looking rough.
I condemn Eberflus for the Claypool situation, but I don't know if I really condemn Ryan Poles. I know he brought him here, but I mean, just like Eric said with Jalen Carter, how he would have just been all screwed up here in Chicago. Like, how do we know Claypool isn't just a product of the inconsistency and the lack of leadership here with the Chicago Bears? I mean, he could probably go somewhere else, and I guess the only thing stopping me from saying anything good about Claypool is maybe the Steelers didn't want him. I mean, that's a good organization with a great coach.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You saved yourself. You legit saved yourself because
there's always a method to my madness, Eric. Don't do me like that.
Yeah, because Eric's about to say exactly what I would have said.
Yeah, nah, bro. If Bill Belichick gives up on a player, there's a reason why, right? If Mike Tomlin gives up on a player, there's a reason why.
Yep.
Mike Tomlin easily let him go for a sec. Like hell, he was about to give him to the Packers for
but with
a lot less than what the Bears gave him up.
But with that being said, there's plenty of players on the Steelers that aren't the best in their position. You know what I mean? Like,
standard, my friend.
I get that. I get there's a standard, but as far as skill, as far as development, there's not many offensive players that are on the top of the list in each category as far as position, and that's just my only thing. Claypool, his first year with the Steelers was great. Then 100%. all of a sudden there was a decline. So that talent just doesn't go away. It's just untapped potential that's probably not being taken out of, correctly. It's just not being developed correctly. And I'm not saying Tomlin's a great coach. Like Eric said, the reason why him and Belichick are successful is because there is a standard there. Yes. But look at both teams. Both teams are basically mid. Only they would be both teams would be really bad if those two coaches weren't the coaches. It's the standard that's keeping them afloat. Otherwise, as far as skill and talent, there's really not much there going on. That's why they're recollecting guys like Ezekiel Elliott and New England and the Steelers. Like their wide receivers they're all over the place. It's like they both have mid quarterbacks. They can't develop either. So that's what I'm saying. So like you put Claypool maybe in the right good offensive. Put Claypool in the Chiefs, and I guarantee you he'll be way better. Than he is now.
Maybe because this shit would get checked. There hasn't been a standard for the Bears in over a decade since Lovey's been a coach. There has not been a standard. Lovey came in, set the standard off the rip, right? Kind of like Poles when he came in and was like, "We're going to win the North. We're going to go to the playoffs. We're going to win a Super Bowl." He said that, but he not only talk the talk, but he walked the fucking walk, man. We won the division. We went to a Super Bowl. We were relevant in football for that stretch. There were some off years, but the standard has not been. There's just been no standard for the Bears in over a decade.
Right. But that's why I say I don't really blame Poles for doing what he's doing. I wouldn't even make him. I just think that this team is just poorly ran. That's what it is. It's poorly ran because of the coaches.
Up and down, the organization is dog shit. Absolute dog shit.
You ain't lying.
I don't want to go into too much into Thursday Night Football, but real quick, just like a real quick before we get into the Cubs, does this offensive success continue into Thursday Night Football?
I hope so. It needs to. It needs to, for what you guys are saying, that Justin Fields won't be here for the long run, right? Like, if you really want to enhance his draft stock, his draft capital, whatever you want to get in return, like it consistently needs to be Justin Fields having more games like that where the pick can be higher than a second. At least the second is the cap. Second is the most highest you can probably get, unless if he balls out, then if you could get a first. If there's a team willing to give him a first, then hell, you take it with you because of the 2 years that he still has. Technically, 2 years that he still has in his contract, right?
Yeah.
So, and not just because for draft sake, but also, guys, like we need to fucking win. Win. And literally, this schedule that they have coming up right now with the Broncos that they just lost, with the Commanders this upcoming week, I think they got the Vikings in the next week after that. Like, it is a very, very, very soft point of their schedule to where they can possibly steal or pick up a win or two here, if the offense played like they did yesterday.
Tony Football, what do you think? Offense is going to go into Thursday Night Football the same?
No, because they're going against Ron Rivera and that team. Though they play hard for him, man.
Yeah,
they play hard for him. You've seen it against the Eagles. Everybody knows they're not as good as the Philadelphia Eagles, but because they're well coached, they're the complete opposite of the Chicago Bears. Because they're well coached, because they are disciplined, they will run through any type of brick wall for Ron Rivera. And he's going to have these boys ready for Justin Fields, and that lack of offensive firepower that they have. I don't see this offense being good at all. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. If they are credit to Fields, and I hope that he does turn it around. I do hope that maybe he is just the spark that turns it. I really do. Because this is my team. I do love the Bears, and I do want to see them successful. It's just the reason why I cheer for them to lose. I mean, you guys know it's because I want what's best for the team. I just think what they have going on isn't it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question, I don't see it happening. Rick.
I hope so. Just kind of like for the things that Eric said, right? Like let's try to build up Justin Fields for a trade. He's got another year left on his contract as in a rookie deal. Like, let's keep him, high offensive, production for him to get a good return. And one last thing before we move on, Justin Fields sat in his locker, and you saw it after they lost the game, in uniform, after that loss, just completely perplexed at what happened, just out of it. And it's the 14th loss in a row, and it finally got to him. That was the one that, and it may be dramatic, but this loss may have been the one that breaks Fields.
You're absolutely right on that point. I mean, he knows it. He feels it. Like, week in and week out, this man says the right thing to the podium, right? To the reporters, to everybody. He says the right thing. He tries to keep positive. He tries to be, hey, whatever, on to the next, just being very optimistic, man. But yeah, man, like if this one felt like, man, it doesn't matter if I'm fucking perfect. I still can't buy a fucking win. Yep. No matter if he made the mistake or not. No matter if they go for no matter if they go for 3 points, it doesn't matter how it ended. Like, it just felt like no matter what Justin Fields does, he can have an historic ass game and he still can't get a win. That one is more demoralizing than anything. And I agree. I mean, hopefully we still see the same happy, glad it's a short week and everything could be turned around quickly right away, man. But man, you're absolutely right, Merle. He just stayed there. He just sat down. He just stayed in his locker room. I think he finally said, man, I gave everything that I can for them, for these guys, for the fans, and I still can't get a win. It just fucking sucks.
It was just one of those moments where you just felt so bad for him. And
100%, bro.
Like I said earlier, I want him to succeed so bad. And like you said, he played such a perfect game, and he had like 132 QBR, whatever it was, and still could not get a win.
I
Tony
agree.
Football, what are your thoughts on Justin Fields staying in the locker room in uniform for like a half hour, whatever it was, after the game ended?
I mean, I feel for the kid, right? Because it's like I could have the best game literally of my career, and yet, I fuck up at the end. It's like I can't do anything right. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like, he blames himself, and rightfully so. I always tell everybody you should always point the finger to yourself. What is it that I didn't do? Even though the whole house is on fire, but what is it that I can or can't do?
Everything is fine.
Exactly. Right. You can only control what you can control, right?
Yeah.
You can only control what you can control. And so I'm saying I feel for the kid. I'm not trying to beat up the kid too much because he did play an outstanding game. It's just when it mattered, he not only fumbled, but he threw an interception and both cost him the game.
Yeah.
And I get it. And a lot of it has to do with coaching, and you could put blame all over the place. I understand that, but it still came from him, so he's blaming himself.
Yeah.
I do feel for him. I do. It's just like, I'm sorry, man. You gotta perform better. Like, you have to perform better.
He performed better.
I get it.
He performed better.
Okay, you're right.
Not make that last mistake.
Yeah, you gotta make better decisions at those moments. He did perform better. You're right.
There you go.
But like that fumble, he could just take the sack.
It just comes down to coaching, Jose. Like, that's all it is. Like, this loss, we already said it. This loss comes down to coaching, no matter what. You don't coach Justin Fields the right way to make the right decisions. You hear that he has to throw the ball away. He tries to throw the ball away. He ends up losing the ball that causes the fumble because he's hearing that he has to throw the ball away. He doesn't know when to take the right sack. He's throwing balls left and right so he can make the team the comeback from losing when they could have gotten 3 points, right? All because of a one coaching decision. Again, it just comes down to coaching. Again, like I said earlier, this performance yesterday proves that it's not the players, it's actually the coaching that's putting these Bears in these type of situation and the failure of so far the 2023 season.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't. This game was none of the players' fault. The players had no fault into this whatsoever. No matter if Justin Fields did fumble the ball to tie up the game, no matter if Justin Fields threw that pick. Granted, yes, those mistakes can be.
I think the pick
those things, right.
Yeah.
Right. But he shouldn't be put in that type of situation unless if you make the right coaching decisions from the very beginning. And even when you smell blood in the water, still make the right coaching decisions and not be conservative. And it just it's plain and simple, man. This coaching staff just fucking sucks.
It sucks. And I want to show this last comment before we move on from John, just so I can yell at him.
Johnny P.
Fields and trade the first round pick for a haul. Get out of here, John.
Get out of here, John.
Get out. Get out.
Back to work, my friend.
Back to work.
I'm with you, John. I'm with you. I'm probably going to be right with you for probably for a little while.
Eric and John, they're both like this. They're always the last one. They're always the last one to come to realization.
I have hope
that we're always right.
13 more games, guys. There's still 13 more fucking games left,
again,
man.
They're always last. They're always nothing about Ryan Pace and Mitchell Trubisky going to the playoffs and getting bounced by the Saints did nothing for that team because they were both they both got the boot. Nobody developed from that. Nobody on that roster developed anything from anything like that that's benefiting the Bears today, right? Like I said, they're always the last to come on board, and that's okay. I'm going to save them a seat when they're ready. I'm going to save them a seat next to me. It's okay.
But the difference between this time and that time is that you can see
you guys are yelling at me up and down saying
you can see
we need the playoffs. We need the playoffs to be to develop and be better.
You can definitely see that there's potential. There was more potential. There is more potential in Justin Fields than there was in Mitchell Trubisky. That's the only thing.
That
is the only thing that's making me keep Justin Fields.
The thing is, you see those first 3 weeks of Fields' decision making, and then this week, and you're like, I
get that. And even last season, Rick, when the Bears' offense was kind of sputtering, they don't know what it was like because it was under the first year of head coach of Luke Getsy and stuff like that. It took them a while to get that offensive going. Yeah. And then once they got it going, you saw the potential of how deadly they can be, whether Justin Fields is a runner. Justin Fields proved to you again, albeit it was the worst defense in the NFL in the Denver Broncos because of what happened the week prior against the Dolphins. Okay, I'll give you that one right there. But you could definitely see with the potential that Justin Fields has, he can definitely carry. If you have everything around him from right coach, it is possible to have this guy be that guy here in Chicago. It's possible.
I'm not there yet because he showed me what, like, how many games has he played as a Chicago Bear? He showed me all those types of games that he's not ready, and I'm not gonna just fall in love after this one game. I need to see it consistently,
especially when you have CJ Stroud and the Texans doing what he's doing.
Exactly. Thank you.
It's just insanity.
But you had a stretch. You had a stretch last season too, as well, guys.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it that way they lost. I get it. We're on a 14-game losing streak. I hear you guys 100%. A win in between then and now would have done wonders, or would have done a complete different conversation with Justin Fields.
Nothing last year.
But at the same time, guys, there is more. Yes, it's inconsistent. There is inconsistency in Justin Fields' playing game, and I hear you guys 100%. Yeah. I'm not deaf. I hear you guys, but I'm telling you guys, there are more ways than not that Justin Fields is a better quarterback that can potentially help us down the future. I can see it.
He is a better running quarterback. He's a better running quarterback. There's a reason. There is a reason why everybody. There's a reason why everybody is mad.
Don't give me that he's just a running quarterback. It's bullshit. He
ran for up until yesterday, that's all he's shown us, Eric. Up until yesterday, he's all he's shown us.
Jose, but there's moments that Justin Fields can throw the ball. You cannot tell me from last year.
Okay, there was moments Mitchell Trubisky can throw the ball, but you still think he's a good quarterback.
But you could tell that Justin Fields has him even more, bro.
Against
you can easily tell me. You can easily say that Justin Fields is better.
All right.
It was an 0-3 bad team yesterday, dude. Come on.
I get that. You can see it that there's potential there.
Let's move into even more. Really, just more upsetting news. All three of us here are Cubs fans.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All three of us here sought the MLB season, the Cubs season, as something as a positive. And yet it just ended in absolute disappointment. The Cubs season is over. They played game 161, won, but so did the Marlins to basically eliminate the Cubs from the playoffs. And
sucks, man.
This was a team where maybe, a month left, 20 games left or something in the season. We're in the second wild card spot. And they were about maybe half a game above the third wild card spot. But we had confidence. We had confidence going to the end of the season, being like, you know what? The way this Cubs team is playing and has played since the All-Star break, even before that, since like early June, this is a team that's going to get into the playoffs because exactly like they're looking good. They've played good. Their offense is doing well. Their starting pitching has good games, and it really all came down to the last few games. And it was a tough series to go against the best team in baseball. That's the Braves. They got swept by the Braves. They lost 2 of 3 against Milwaukee, and I don't know what the biggest like additions need to be, but I know one of them is definitely a bullpen. One of them has to be a bullpen. It's just very disappointing that this Cubs team did not make a wild card spot here at the end.
Look, they were 10 back at one point, man. They were 10 back behind just to get into. Nobody thought they had a chance, and then they did. Right, offensively they exploded. They got a couple games within the Brewers to even just to not only get the wild card spot, but just to get the division. Like they had a really good stretch, and we were literally rooting for the Pirates the last 2 games, and how apropos is that when David Ross was talking shit about the Pirates and how they were a less organization a couple days before that. So I was that's karma for your ass right there.
Yeah.
But you know what? You still have a lot to hang your head up on for sure. It just sucks, right? Because you said it. Like there's a lot more questions that need to be answered this offseason. And I know you said bullpen, but my biggest thing is you have to re-sign Cody Bellinger, because if not, you just screwed yourself from developing this team a lot more during that trade deadline. I get it. You were trying to make the playoffs, right? I get it. That's the risk. You didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So now you have to sign this guy, or he walks for nothing, and you're in a worse position than you were before And so that's just my thing. You re-sign this guy, figure out what the hell Stroman's going to be, and maybe throw him some money. But yeah, and then
look. He already said he was going to opt in, so you have him from next year.
Yeah,
Stroman already said he's opting in.
Beautiful. I didn't see that, but beautiful. There you go.
I agree.
But you got to re-sign Cody Bellinger.
I thought when they signed him over the offseason, I was like, Cody Bellinger, you know what? He's probably going to have a good first half. They're going to trade him. And then Alex from 3 Up, 3 Down said, you know what? I think he likes Chicago. I think he's going to stay the entire year. And that's exactly what happened. And he produced over 100 RBI, 30 plus home runs, if I'm not mistaken, like a 307 batting average.
Yeah,
this guy
man bet on himself and won.
Yeah, came in on a 1-year deal and proved to the league that he is still the Cody Bellinger of 2019 when he won the MVP.
Yeah.
Like he did really well. The thing that just like I don't know I don't know if they need to sign him is we have Morel there. Morel was started off really hot the last 2 seasons when he's come up to the bigs. Pete Crow Armstrong still, just a rookie, just a call up. Rick. Can come into this, maybe play, become, someone who becomes an everyday player. But like first base and third base, P. Swizzy has to go. Candelario, I don't know. I don't think he's the answer. First base, like who do we have at first base? Like we thought
Cody.
We thought exactly. Like that's the only thing. Like I don't think you need to sign Bellinger for the outfield, but can he solidify that first base? Can he be a fucking monster
Rick,
at first?
Rick, I love you, bro. I love you. You're looking at this completely wrong, my guy. Cody is a key component for the Cubs' success for the next couple years. Yeah. You did not just sign Dansby Swanson for 7 just for him just to walk away. You did not just yes, the PCA argument, okay, I get it, but that's going to be a rookie. It's going to be a kid in his rookie year, right? So you're going to give him his ups and his downs. You said we need a first baseman. Hey, guess what? Cody can play first. I possibly, maybe he would want to be, in the outfield. Okay, great.
Yeah,
you do what you need to do. All right. But Rick, man, the number one priority. I know you said bullpen, and that's a big priority too. But the biggest priority is Cody Bellinger, bro. You throw the money that you need to throw at him for him to stay here in Chicago, right? That Shohei Ohtani thing, it's not going to happen, especially after him getting Tommy John for his elbow, bro.
But that makes him a hitter. That makes him a hitter, though.
I mean, look, you're not just paying Ohtani to be a hitter. Can you get him at a discount because of the surgery? Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
Maybe. But Jose, and the rest of baseball knows that he's still going to be there looking for that big money because he's going to be pitching again. So you're going to throw in bigger money at him, at Shohei, than you are at Cody Bellinger. Look, man, look, Cody Bellinger is the guy. Like that's your number one fish. That's your biggest fish. That's your big tuna right there.
At Bellinger over Shohei,
I would throw. Look, I
think the risk is far greater than the. I think the risk is too great. The thing is, if you let Cody go and try to get Ohtani is not a sure thing. I think not a sure thing of coming to Chicago. You have a better likelier chance to sign Cody, and for me that just makes all the much more.
But how many years after? Look, how many years after that MVP season did Cody Bellinger suck? He sucked for a couple of years. Ohtani has been consistent success. Like. You have to throw the money at him, especially if you're a market like the Cubs.
But you're not going to be the only one throwing money at him. You're literally competing with 30 other teams because he's not going to the Angels and the White Sox already declared themselves out. So you're literally competing with 30 teams.
Let's say like 10 teams. 20 more teams probably aren't going to compete for this guy.
Probably
they
like
don't
10.
have the money for it.
For sure, 7.
For sure, 7. Yeah, the Pirates aren't going for him. The Reds aren't going for him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I think with how much better the Cubs did than what the expectations were this season, and how much money you're making with the Cubs and how much money you're not spending, why not go for the big fish for once, right? For once in your life, go for the biggest guy you can. Bellinger, I agree, had a great year. He had one of the best offensive seasons that I could think of in a while. Like not even I don't really think any of the core guys other than Chris Bryant when he won MVP has had a year like Cody Bellinger has had in the past however many years, 8 years or so since he won MVP.
2016, Rick. 2016 MVP year. Chris Bryant produced numbers, bro.
That's what I mean. Like there hasn't been anyone since then. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, like
Javi Baez. I mean, the runner-up MVP. He also had run these numbers too, bro.
Yeah, but we all knew what Javi Baez was. I just think you look at Shohei and you go, you know what? Chicago's a big fucking market, man. We have Dansby Swanson. We have Nico Horner. We got a lot of these young and up-and-coming guys, too. Our pitching staff is somewhat solidified. We have a guy who is pretty good in Marcus Stroman. Got injured. Injuries do fuck him up. Like, why not go to Chicago and try it? And they're really close. Of course, you know, LA, the Dodgers are going to be very lucrative. They're going to be someone you want to go to. The Yankees... historic franchise. He doesn't have a beard, so he doesn't have to shave. Like he's fine.
The Padres are gonna go for him, and he actually likes the Padres too. So it's like,
I think the Yankees is. I think the furthest east he comes is here in Chicago, and that's basically it.
Yeah,
that's the furthest east he's gonna come. I think the Mariners, the Padres, the Dodgers
versus Bellinger, and Bellinger had a good year, but you go.
I agree. I hear you. But again, unless if Shohei Ohtani's at a discount and somehow you pitch him very, very well and you sign Cody Bellinger, hell, I'll even give Shohei Ohtani like a 3-year, make him the highest paying player for 3 years, and you get Cody Bellinger for more longer. Like if some mathematical whatever salary cap situation you could do to get them both here, that's fine. I'm all on board. But you're not going to get Shohei Ohtani pitcher until 2025.
Yeah.
So you're already wasting a year of your salary cap on Shohei Ohtani, the hitter. So you're not going to get the pitcher at all for another 2 years. So that's automatically at a discount right there.
Is he a better consistent hitter than Cody Bellinger is?
Yeah. Oh, definitely, bro. Definitely. So. Shohei Ohtani's the shit, bro. Like I don't know how much baseball you watch, Angels baseball or Angels highlights, bro. But Shohei Ohtani is.
I understand that, but all I'm saying is. The spectacle of Shohei Ohtani is the fact that he can do both.
Yes,
but if you just wind him down to just one aspect of the game, how much better is he than Cody Bellinger? Because Cody Bellinger does that. You know what I mean?
Cody could go toe for toe. I can tell you that much. He could go toe for toe.
And then wait, and then hold on, then because think about this. Shohei Ohtani will only have to come off he's gonna have to be your DH because he doesn't play any other position other than pitching. Yeah. He's not gonna pitch.
You at least solidify a position there.
That's right. So you're basically you gain maybe a better hitter, but defensively then you don't have a first baseman again. And you're back to that problem. That's why Cody Bellinger to me is the better number one. Is your number one because not only is you're gonna get production from his bat, but then he's able to play whatever position you need him to play on the field. At least for this year.
Let's temper the expectations on his Bellinger better. Like overall, sure. Positions, okay, I agree. You're not going to have Ohtani to pitch the entire next season. But if you do sign him for 3 years, which I highly doubt anybody's going to sign him for 3 years, it's going to be like a max 10-year deal, whatever it might be. You're giving up 1 year of having him as a pitcher, but you still have him as a DH. But then after that, again, it's a Tommy John surgery. Who knows how he recovers and how he does after that? Exactly. But you still have that expectation of he's going to come in and hit and pitch. And yeah, you're screwed out on a position player, but you just got a top starter and a top hitter in Ohtani
for more money than you would have gotten, Rick, though, from somebody who would have played a position, and now you're limiting yourself even more. That's why I'm saying the risk 100%. Is far greater.
The risk is greater.
I just think the consistency is there with Ohtani versus Bellinger. I think if Bellinger comes into next year, hits 27 home runs, bats 280, and has like 89 RBIs, we're like, whoa, what the fuck happened? Yes, he's still a very good hitter, but we're like, what happened to Bellinger from last year? We're gonna be disappointed if we sign him for a massive deal.
In retrospect, though, like even 280 that sounds even great, right? I know he didn't give us the same numbers, right? He didn't give us the same numbers he did this year. Okay, I get it, right? But it's what else is around it? How good is the team around you still at that point? Like you could focus on one player all you want, but we all know it takes a collective unit for baseball to win, right? And like I said, if you could, your number one target is Cody. if you could get Shohei on a discount, cool. But we know it's not going to happen. You're only paying it's hard for me to imagine. Yes, in 2 years we'll have a top of the rotation guy fresh off of Tommy John surgery. That's the most concerning part right there. It's how fresh he's going to be off of Tommy John. Yes, he was hitting. Yes, he was on your team for a year, but you fill in a position out in the field with Cody Bellinger and the bat, it's still going to be there. I rather have a guy that's there filling up a position and there every day instead of a guy who's just hits and messes with you every 5 days and pitching wise. That's the only difference I have. Plus, the guy's not even going to pitch for you for a year, so it's kind of like it's a moot point at that point on why go out for Shohei. The Cubs are not there yet to be or to go out for Shohei like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now after Tommy John surgery, because you still got it, like you said, you still got to fill up third base, you still got to fill up first base, you still got to get out, Cody Bellinger. You still need to figure out that bullpen where majority of your money is going to. Oh, and by the way, you're still going to need another starting pitcher too as well. So it's kind of like you still have a lot of holes to fill up. And if you're going to fill up the hole of Shohei Ohtani, that you're not going to see him pitch for a year, the risk is not worth the reward with Shohei Ohtani, Rick. I'm sorry, bro, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it unless if it's at a discount.
I just think if we make Bellinger the priority, we're really setting up ourselves for disappointment.
Nope. I disagree with you 100%, Rick, on that part,
really
because you can
so.
definitely fill in other spots that the Cubs need, because the bullpen gassed out, the starting pitching gassed out. David Ross did an excellent job and the best job he can do with the lack of arms that he had on that rotation, starting and bullpen. He squeezed every ounce of juice out of that starting rotation to the point where we were 2.5 games behind first place in the NL Central. He squeezed out every bit of talent of that bullpen and starting pitching rotation, man. And I promise you, Cody Bellinger would just be a great signing, an amazing signing for the Chicago Cubs. You could still go out for Blake Snell and put some money into that for your starting rotation and get a top of the rotation guy. You can get some bullpen strength simply because you didn't put all your cap money into one player that you're not going to get for another year.
Again, and I love what he did. Like, don't get me wrong. His first 3 years in the league were really good. But this is a guy who struck well over 100 times in 4 out of his 7 seasons. Has probably his average, I think, over his 7 years is about a 258, 260. Like it's not that I'm just saying this based off of just like Ohtani, but this guy he struggled other than like his 3 really good years. One with the Cubs being last year, his rookie and his MVP season. Like, Rick, this is, again, I just think if we sign him long term, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, and it's going to suck because we're like, Dansby Swanson at least hasn't, like, he's had a really good year, but he's very consistent.
But like I said, but like we mentioned, you're getting more for your buck with Cody Bellinger because he's able to play a position on the field, and you're getting relevancy in his bat. And not only that, but then you have a lot more cap space. You have a lot more wiggle room to fill up any other position, like Eric said, in your organization, as opposed to Ohtani. Then you're throwing all this money for a DH next year, and then you gotta hope that he comes to form the year after that. You won't get literally Ohtani, the Ohtani you want, the Ohtani you've seen that you fell in love with until year 3, and who knows how long this contract is going to be. Mm-hmm. And at that point, he's now 3 years older than we seen him last year, and there's going to be a lot more tread on the tires. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's just, there's so many risk factors. I get
and
it.
He's not even young, dude. He's going to be 31 next year anyway. So it's not like you're getting a young player at that. Like, I would get it if he's getting his second Tommy John surgery at 26. You're getting your second Tommy John surgery at 30. There's a difference there. And you're talking about the swing and missing and the strikeouts that Cody Bellinger had. We had Javi fucking Baez on this team that fucking swung and missed in almost every single game, bro. Like that.
That's right, Eric.
He said he was a runner-up MVP.
Give Cody Bellinger and his strikeouts opportunity.
And you said he was a runner-up MVP.
Hold on, Eric, but that doesn't mean we just sign anybody just because we had.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude.
Hold on, there's standards we want to set.
Yeah, there's gotta be.
I get it, but Rick hit me with his strikeout ratios. Bro, we had Javi Baez. I don't care about no fucking strikeout ratio, bro.
I'm trying to get back to that.
That's exactly. We're not trying to get back to that. Let's get back to the Cubs season, right? Like, obviously, he's, Cody Bellinger.
John, you need to be saying that to your organization, bro. You need to be saying that to your organization. We know what he is. Okay, you need to go talk to Jerry Reinsdorf and tell him who the hell he is.
Oh, John, we need you on here for this stuff because we need someone to laugh at in the Sox organization. But
shit.
so without like, let's say we don't get Bellinger, we lose the people we're gonna lose. Like, the Cubs played above their expectations. What about next year? Do you think they go into next year with any high hopes? Let's say it's the first day of the offseason and they've lost who they've lost. Do we go into next year thinking we can beat the Brewers in the division, we could take the division, or are we still like, hey, we're going for a number one wild card right now?
I think it all depends.
Ross as manager.
Right. Well, okay. If it all depends on what they do and who they resign, right? That's the biggest key. If let's say they keep a lot of the guys, like let's say Bellinger's back. I mean, we already talked about Stroman opting in. Like they go in with basically almost the same lineup and maybe just add some guys here and there. Then yeah, I think expectations are higher because of what we saw the potential was this season with the team. Mm-hmm. But I guess it all depends on that. I don't think we can't really think otherwise. If they lose a lot of key guys, okay, how are you filling those positions? And it all depends on that. I think the core group that we have with Horner, Swanson, Ian Happ, Suzuki. I think those core guys are good. I think we're going to be competitive. But then you look at the pitching rotation. Justin Steele has to be Justin Steele. I mean, we've seen what Dylan Cease was this past season with the White Sox. There's going to be regression there with Steele, but then you have Kyle Hendricks. How much more can he give you? You know what I mean? And then if Marcus Stroman, like his biggest question is always health. Like how can he play a full season and be there when it matters? I mean, if we had Marcus Stroman at the tail end of the year playing like how he did in the beginning of the year, we would be in good shape. But he got hurt. So there's so many questions going in that to just answer. I guess we really have to wait and see, man. But if the Cubs go in relatively healthy with the same lineup and maybe add some key guys, absolutely higher expectations for sure. I say we definitely have a chance to win the division.
And with a lot of the shit that Ross has been getting about lineup decisions, about bullpen decisions, about getting starters out earlier than he should have. Is there any, I guess, confidence that you've lost in Ross to be a big league manager going forward?
No, I mean, John says it right. We wanted Ross gone last season. We literally, we complained based off what we were seeing. The Cubs started off hot, and then they tailed off, and Ross did have a lot to blame for that. Kind of like how we're blaming Eberflus with the Bears, right? Ross had some to blame because it was all about developing the players that you had because you had some good guys. And then you started seeing them playing well. They started believing into his system, and it's like, okay, you know what? He started to show what he was about. I mean, if the Bears team all of a sudden turns it around and the Bears end up winning the next 10 games, then we're looking at Eberflus a lot differently than we are now, right?
Hell no, his ass is gone.
Well, I'm just saying we're looking at him a little bit differently than we are today. So like, I get it. I'm just saying, right? We're looking at it a little bit more differently. So of course, we go based off what they're producing out there. But I like Ross. I like what he did. I think he gets a lot of credit for at least getting them in contention.
Eric, what do you think about Ross as a big league manager going forward?
I mean, look, you could question Ross' decisions no matter what, right? You can question David Ross maneuvering in his lineup. You can say whatever you want. All I see in David Ross is that he knows how to run a successful team, or he knows how to make a team successful with the players that he has. Even last year when they were the worst team in baseball, they were the hottest team in baseball after the All-Star break. This year they started off slow, but guess what? You guys said it. They were the hottest team in June and heading into the All-Star break up until recent weeks, right? You can say whatever. David Ross, I have the confidence in him because whatever he has on that roster, he squeezes every ounce of skill and talent that he has on that roster, good or bad, and become successful.
I mean, shout out to Tommy Hotovy. I know you talk about the pitcher, one of the best pitching coaches in baseball.
100%.
He has a lot to do with it, of course.
That too, but at the same time, you could give Tommy Hotovy his roses, but we know that he gets the white flowers, and David Ross. I mean, Hotovy gets the sunflower, and David Ross gets the red roses, the bouquets. because at the end of the day, it's David Ross making the decisions, not Tommy Hotovy. Hotovy has a lot to do to prepare the pitchers. Yes, 100%. You give credit where credit is due there. But at the end of the day, David Ross, he's not the one that's changing the pitchers or the one making up the lineups or bringing in the players in, right? It's David Ross. David Ross, up until he literally blows up and can't do it and can't or doesn't do it anymore, or he gets the yips or whatever the case may be, up until I see that it got too much for him, then I'll see it go. But right now, even when he lost all the players, he still rode the ship and developed players. Christopher Morel was one of them, and that's the biggest one that we got so far, right? Ian Happ was successful under him. You know, Seiya Suzuki had a slow start. He started being hot in the last month of the season, and he knows how to keep a clubhouse together. So I did not lose any confidence in David Ross. I will not lose confidence in David Ross. I think as of right now, David Ross is the best coach / manager in Chicago sports right now at the moment.
Oh, get out of here!
And
I have to agree.
And it just shows to you on the playing field. Just because they didn't make the playoffs doesn't mean it wasn't a successful season. Doesn't mean Ross screwed it up. I think Ross knows. I think Rossi is good for now for the next couple of years for sure until he blows it up in his face.
Yeah, and I would agree. It's a lot of the stuff.
Don't disrespect the Sky head coach, man. I'm just playing. I don't know,
bro.
Really.
They lost Candace Parker, and he fucking dipped. So,
I get it. I know. I'm just playing. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm just.
And I agree too, because like a lot of the shit Cubs fans were talking on Twitter were like, get a new manager, this and that. I was like, Ross, for the most part, for the roster that he's had in his few years as a manager, has done pretty goddamn well. I mean, he's got 2 playoff appearances, I think, technically. I think he has 1 division crown. That was back when he still had the core with Rizzo and Bryan and Baez. Like when they lost, I think 3 in a row to the Marlins or whatever it was in the wild card.
It's always the Marlins, man.
Yeah, and then he lost like game 163 against the Rockies or some shit like that.
The damn Marlins, man.
Yeah, fucking Marlins, I tell you what.
Marlins,
but I have confidence in him to continue to do that, and I think you made a couple good points that I would 100% point to as a manager. He knows how to develop a couple players, and he knows how to keep a locker room together. One, because he's been in a winning locker room.
Yeah.
A couple, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And those are very important when the times get rough, man. I mean, look what the team did since early June. They had not lost a series in a really long time. They were winning series after series after series. They were doing well, and I think you got to tip your cap to him with what he's done and how he exceeded expectations this season with this team.
That's why it's important to get a guy with experience, because if you're going to lead men in a sport that they're playing in currently, you have to know what the hell you're talking about. And Ross knows what the hell he's talking about. Even with the 2016 Cubs, you had a leader in Anthony Rizzo, but Anthony Rizzo was looking up to a guy like David Ross. David Ross was that unofficial leader there in that locker room, 100%.
Don't disrespect Yan Gomes like that, John. Don't disrespect. Yan Gomes had a great stretch in the last months of the season, bro.
He said Ross is still
he really did have a good
stretch. But he is right, though. Ross is the Gomes roster, though, to be honest with you.
It reminds me of all the jokes like, oh, I just checked Twitter and the Dolphins just scored on the Broncos again. It just reminds me of that stuff. It's so funny. He's still the best catcher. I love it.
Hilarious.
All right, boys. Did you guys have anything else on the Cubs, the Bears, anything before we get out of here?
Ask me that question.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
The Bulls, man. I don't know if you talked about this, but it pissed me off the fact that we lost not just one person, but we lost a chance on 2. We lost on a chance of getting Damian Lillard when it was the Bulls and the Raptors that were tied to the Lillard conversation. All of a sudden, he goes to the fucking Milwaukee Bucks, to your, I don't want to say rival, but to the team that's the best team in your division with 100%. An already superstar like Giannis. And now you add Damian Lillard. Right. You literally lost out on that opportunity. And then there's maybe a possible chance of getting someone like Drew Holiday, someone who literally is almost like Jimmy Butler, where he came out of nowhere and made a name for himself.
On defense.
And then you lose that to who? The Boston Celtics, who are another great team in your conference. You're a fucking joke. The Bulls are a joke. Joke.
Yep. 100%. I agree. And I was pretty shocked by that news because the fact that Damian Lillard went to the Bucks, man, it was just insane. We got John saying Jose fake mad right now because Giannis is his boy.
He is my boy. No, he is my boy. I would love Giannis on the Bulls. He's my boy. It just sucks that my team sucks. That's all.
That's Tony Basketball's boy, man. Don't
my boy. Yeah, I do love Giannis. I just wish he was with the Bulls. Now, he ain't coming to the Bulls anymore, Rick. No. I thought maybe we had a chance. He was literally putting that riddle saying, "Oh, he might leave Milwaukee." That ain't happening anymore.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's another thing to this that nobody's realizing. Giannis is not leaving Milwaukee anymore.
Hell no, he ain't. I never thought he was gonna come to the Bulls anyways. I ain't gave the Bulls no shot.
No.
Hey, Giannis coming over here. The fuck.
Go ahead.
Giannis was saying, like, I will stay committed to this team as long as we're winning. So he'll stay on the Bucks as long as they're winning, as long as they're making the moves they're making. Like, as long as management is making him happy, they will still have Giannis on that team.
Well, they made him happy now.
They sure.
I agree. The biggest joke the Bulls was doing showing Lonzo today on social.
Dame time, baby. Dame time. We get to see him, 4 times a year, Eric, is what you were saying?
100%.
Great.
Dog shit organizations. And I thought the Cubs were going to be the only glimmer of hope, and yet here we are. So, Eric, what did you say? You said you were going to say something else.
Ask me the question about the Cubs and what they're going to do after December 6th. That's when the winter meetings are over. Mm-hmm. That's when we'll see a good look at what the Cubs may or may not do. What their position are at, and then JCA Sports Podcast on Wednesday. Preview the Bears Commanders game. See if the Bears can finally get their first win on Thursday Night Football, and hopefully, we can see the better progress in the Bears offense, and see if the coaching doesn't fuck it all up. That's pretty much it. And the Bulls, man, fuck the Bulls. They still got Zach on their team. They're not going anywhere.
I think the only glimmer of hope so far, as far as the future is concerned, is the Hawks with Connor Bedard.
Yep.
And we're gonna get Jack on here eventually.
It's gonna be a cold winter, guys, here in Chicago. Yeah, it's gonna be a cold and lonely and sad winter. Because even with Bedard, we're gonna be amazed in all what he does, but the
Hawks are still gonna suck.
The Hawks team is not ready to win yet. They're not ready to win yet, so it's gonna be a cold, lonely winter here in Chicago.
Oh man, everybody get your blankets and your fireplaces ready because you're
gonna
need to keep
that
warm
train
somehow.
to become a Blackhawks bandwagon fan is just gonna pass by me. I'm just gonna ignore it and be on my phone. Thank God I love a sport called football, the best sport around the world, to get me through these dark times.
It's not going to get you better time because your team's do the same thing they did last year and choke at the end and not do a damn thing afterwards. So it's going to be a cold winter for you too, buddy.
That's why we play 36 games. This season ends in the summer.
36, 46, 56, 76.
You tried it though. You tried it. Right, you tried it, but you ultimately, like always, you failed, my friend.
Thank you for tuning in to Big League Chicago. Like Eric said, check out JCA Sports Podcast on Wednesdays. They're going to go over the Washington Commanders at the Bears Thursday Night Football game. And I'm sure they're going to be talking more stuff. And then for all you guys that want to see football live streams, check out me and Kyle. Yes. Go on over to the live stream. We're live streaming Monday Night Football here in a bit. And then we're going to be going into Only Football Podcast. Eric, Tony Football. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Stop calling him Tony Football, bro. He's not Tony Football, bro.
Thank you guys.
I whooped him twice. I whooped him 2 weeks in a row on fantasy football, so he should be calling me Tony Fantasy Football, baby. 2 weeks in a row.
When did I face you?
JCA this week. You got your ass beat by me.
Oh, did I? Yes, I didn't pay attention. I ain't
Always a good time.
All right,
Always a good time with y'all. Go catch us at Star6 Media on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitch, and then at _Star6 Media on Twitter. Go follow all the shows. Go watch all the live streams. Bring you back. We're bringing you a lot of good content. So, again, thank you guys for joining me, and we'll see you guys next time.
Doses.
See ya.